Hi, Tyler Infidelity here at the Consumer Electronics Show 2015 in the AudioQuest booth with Skylar Gray. Hi, Skylar. How you doing?
Hi, Tyler.
And he's going to give us a little tour of the NightHawk.
Okay. So I'll pick one of these up. So this is one of our pre-production units. So it's very close to what we'll ship with. So if you have seen any of the previous images that are online, the big difference that you notice here is the high gloss clear coat on the ear cups. These are liquid wood, and we've come up with a brilliant way of controlling the patterning and getting a great high gloss, just beautiful finish. So I'm just completely impressed by the way they turned out. I think they're gorgeous, beyond my expectations even.
Yeah, I have to say that I'd seen it previously with the matte finish, and which I liked as well. It was subtle and subdued, but this high gloss finish is really sexy, and the patterning of the liquid wood is just lovely. Hang on, it's focusing. There it is. Really nice. And let's point out some of the other features on the headphone.
Sure. So obviously, liquid wood is a big deal. It is a real wood, but it's a special formulation that allows it to flow into a liquid, and we can mold it, so we get this nice sculptural shape. It's also a sustainable material, and it has some great acoustic properties. So it's the first time it's been used in this type of production scale. We're really excited about that. The other things that are here that are very unique are the suspension system, which decouples the ear cups from one another, but also provides a nice ergonomic benefit of great articulation.
Yeah, that is really a brilliant little gadget. Is that patented?
This is patent pending, yes.
Yeah, cool.
So another really cool thing that's quite innovative about this headphone is the grill. So this is a semi-open back design, and we say semi-open because there is an acoustic impedance created by this grill between the internal volume and the outside world. So this shape is quite special. It does a really good job at diffusing. It's the same structure that you find in certain butterflies' wings if you look at them under heavy magnification. So in a butterfly's wings, if you've ever seen a very metallic blue-green iridescent wing, it's not because there's any pigment there. It's because there's this structure at a very microscopic scale that's diffusing light.
Right.
So all we've done is scale that up in size, and instead we're diffusing sound. So it's a very complex shape, as I said. You cannot mold it, you can't machine it. The only way to make it is with 3D printing.
Right.
So this type of part has really only been enabled within the last few years. So we're super proud about that, and it's just another one of those things that makes this a really innovative headphone.
Yeah, well, the innovation in this headphone doesn't stop there either. Let's take a look inside the driver.
So I'll just switch over to one of these earlier version ear cups. So we're using a biocellulose diaphragm with a real rubber surround, just like you would construct a hi-fi loudspeaker, right? But the driver is completely built from scratch, from the ground up. So one thing you'll notice is there's, of course, a series of support ribs, and that's just something that it's really desirable for a baffle like this to keep it nice and rigid. And there's a number of cool things happening sort of behind the scenes that are difficult to see here. But one of the cool things that we've done is we put a split gap motor inside of this driver. So what that is it's a notch in the pull piece, right? And that splits the gap into two areas of intense magnetic field, right? So what that means is we actually have more control over the voice coil as it's moving towards its extremes.
Right.
Typically bass frequencies, right?
Right.
So that dramatically reduces intermodulation distortion, and drastically drops harmonic distortion and bass frequencies. So,
right.
So it kind of cleans up the entire frequency range just by making that small little change.
Right.
Another thing that's cool is airflow within the driver. Again, it's difficult to see here because we've got these acoustic membranes attached.
Right, but we can.
Over here.
Yeah, you can.
Thank you, Tom.
Talk about it, and I'll.
So we've got one over here with those membranes removed. If you can see this, there's a number of vents surrounding the diaphragm. and those are radially symmetric, meaning that they form a perfect circle.
Right.
And most of the time when you look at a driver, the terminal PCB would be covering up 1, 2, or 3 of those holes.
Right.
So what you would have is a difference in pressure beneath the diaphragm where the holes were covered up versus where the holes were open.
Right.
So what that can do is cause the diaphragm to rock as it's moving through its travels.
Right, as it has, because the pressure's uneven on the back of it potentially.
Right.
Yeah.
And that I think it's a large contributor to distortion, especially low frequency distortion in these small types of drivers. So that's a really important thing to look for. I mean, if you're looking at headphones, take a look, see if the designer has been thoughtful enough to make sure that that's radially symmetric. It's
Right.
important. Another thing that may be difficult to see here is the contour of the curve of those holes.
Right.
And
You can
typically
see
what you'll
there,
see
yeah.
is just a 90-degree angle where that hole terminates.
Right. Just a simple punch through sort of cylindrical hole.
Exactly. And what we've done instead is we created a special curve there. It's not just a simple radius. It's actually equation driven. And it's an equitangential curve, which is essentially the mathematical path of least resistance, right? So what we want to do is encourage laminar flow of air through those vent holes instead of turbulent air, right? Because turbulence is another source of noise and distortion within the airflow of a driver. It's a small detail, but I think it's very important. If you can think of a better way to do something, you might as well do it, right? And that's what we've done here.
Cool.
So that's a few things about the driver.
Cool. And then here we see like some of the prototype development and along the way as the cups were developed.
Someone asked me, why haven't we seen liquid wood used in a product before? It seems really cool. And just looking at the progression of these ear cups starts to give you an answer of why that is. Because it took us 2 years to get it right, to figure out how to use it. It's a great material. I love it, obviously.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of challenges. It's the way that you process and manufacture it is very different than any typical material that you would mold. So you have to make pretty fundamental changes to the way that you injection mold, to the way that you build the tools. And we really had to play around with the formulation and a lot of different parameters before we got to the point where it's consistent, it's optimally rigid, acoustically optimal,
right,
for lack of a better term, but also looks beautiful.
And you guys are also putting damping material in the
yeah. So vibration. I don't have it here anymore, but
it was.
We lost it.
We
lost it. It's right there.
There it is.
So this is actually.
Whoa.
Sorry. This is a wool polyester blend. I did go through quite a lot of materials to find the right profile that would damp the right set of frequencies for the sound signature that we're going for, right? This is actually not the right amount that is in the production product, but this is cut smaller just because it's easier to demonstrate. There's actually quite a lot in here. But it's just something that you would see this in any halfway decent loudspeaker.
Right.
Where you almost never see it in headphones.
Yeah, every loudspeaker in the world has damping material in it, and almost no headphones have damping material in it. And virtually every time somebody modifies a headphone, really all they're doing as an enthusiast, really all you can do pretty much is just add some damping material strategically in there, and it does make quite a bit of difference. You have to be very careful when you do it, but I really can't believe that people don't attempt it more often.
Right, it seems like a very obvious thing to me.
Yeah.
Another thing that is evident if you start looking inside the enclosure are the support ribs here. So this is another really cool thing that liquid wood enables us to do. If we were to try to machine this out of regular wood, it would be absolutely impossible.
Yeah, it'd be a nightmare.
So this was simulated for vibrational mode analysis so that the ribs are the right thickness, the right length, and positioned in such a way that we're minimizing those vibrational modes that could occur inside here.
Cool.
And in addition to that, there's also a viscoelastic rubber coating on the inside of the enclosure just to add further vibration damping. So we really put a lot of work into avoiding resonances and coloration in the cabinet. something that you would see in any high-end loudspeaker, but
Right.
again, very rare, if ever seen, in
Right.
headphones.
Right. Cool. Well, thanks a lot, Skylar. I really appreciate the tour of the headphones.
Yes,
Awesome.
absolutely. Thanks for your time.
I did have a chance to listen to them. I'm going to reserve judgment because I've got to spend more time with them and measure them. But I thought the treble was wonderfully articulate, and that has a lot to do, I'm sure, with the annular holes and the right turbulence and stuff like that. That's going to clean it. That's going to be important for keeping the treble clean. Balance was fairly good, but it's a show. It's too quick. I'm not going to say I'm going to wait my turn and get a pair home.
Sure.
All right, Skylar. Thanks a lot,
Thanks for stopping by,
man.
Tyler.
Really appreciate it. Yeah. And we'll see you guys at the next booth.